Thank you. Ja tervetuloa tänne Metson musiikkiosastolle tällaisena kylmänä toukokuisena iltapäivänä. Meillä on tänään ilo ja kunnia saada tänne vieraaksi MDC-yhtyeen solisti Dave Dictor. And welcome to our audience here and at home on the behalf of the Tampere City Library. And we are honored to have today here as our guest the lead singer of the MDC punk band, Mr. Dave Dictorin.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, everybody. Yes, I'm a singer of the band M.D.C., and I'm a person who grew up born in the 50s and childhood in the 60s and in the 70s, entered into my late teens, and became part of the punk rock movement, and felt like we wanted to put our energy into something fresh. Really loved what the hippies movement was about, but then you saw things get kind of staid, and the people that were leading it, the rock and rollers, were becoming millionaires and reclusive, and punk wanted something immediate to share what we felt was happening in the culture and what was happening with me. And I grew up in the New York area, and I wanted to share what I was becoming part of. I was all part of the 60s as a child, watching Lou Reed and watching the protests against the Vietnam War, watching the Beatles, watching the Ed Sullivan Show, and just having the wonderful time to watch Stevie Wonder and to watch Three Dog Night and to watch all these different bands happen there for me, and culture be part of it. And one of the first things I became aware of when I was 13, 14 years old, that I didn't want to eat meat anymore. And this was 1969, and I told my mom, and my mom said, write me a song, and I'll help you cook the rice, and we'll figure out the proteins for you. But write me a song first. So I wrote a song called Chicken Squawk. First song I wrote, and would you like me to read it? Okay. And it's every time I come into the store, I see them chickens by the door, but eating them deer birds really ain't for me, because I don't eat roast beef or fish, and porky pig is not my dish. I just want to set all my chickens free. In chicken circles, it's Adolf Perdue wants to feed featherless chickens to you. I don't take orders from Colonel Sanders to you, because I don't want to eat no hens, not even every now and then's. I just want to set my chickens free. And the chorus was buck, 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 buck.
I heard on this tour in Copenhagen, they told you from one of the oldest squads in Europe that you were one of the influencers for them to get to veganism.
Yeah, I was one of the first ones putting it in the punk rock world, animal rights and vegetarian and veganism. And I was just in Copenhagen at the Ungdomshuset, and the people, I was just telling Chuka, the people said, you inspired us to become vegetarian and have always eat vegetarian and in the Ungdomshuset in Copenhagen. And I felt very honored. I didn't know I had done that. I was aware there's a movie called the Punk Vegan movie by a man named Moby, and you can find it online on YouTube. And they give me credit for being one of the first people to be talking about that and singing about it. And I didn't get to do the chorus. Swing it to the east, swing it to the west, swing it with the chickens that you love best. Come on down to the chicken squawk with me. And my mom not only helped me become a vegetarian, she bought me a guitar. And that was a good time. That was 1969. My mom was, I had a wonderful mother, and she worked for the Daily News as a reporter. She interviewed Louis Armstrong, and she just was kind of a progressive person, and she encouraged me to play, and she took me to see Alice's Restaurant, and she took me to see Easy Rider, and she could deal with cultural things, and got me this guitar. And I started playing it when I was in 13, 14 years old, in the end of junior high and into high school. And with all the things I was talking about in the 60s and the radio in America, Rolling Stones, the Animals, the Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, on the radio all the time, it was like one of the first things I wanted to do was to make music. And I got that feeling. And of course, on the backdrop of all this, the Vietnam War is going on. So there was a big protest movement going on. So I became very aware of that. And one of the first things I remember being was 5, 6, 7 years old and watching the protesters walk across the bridge, civil rights workers in Alabama and in Mississippi, and they were getting beaten on by the police with police dogs, those famous iconic photos. And I knew how my mom felt about it, and it felt me, and I wanted to write songs that captured the wrongness, the inhumanity of putting police dogs on people because they don't want to drink water out of a separate water fountain for colored people or for white people.
So kind of millions of dead cops came from that era.
Yes, and so it fed into, and the name of the band is M.D.C, Millions of Dead Cops, and I changed the M.D.C around. Sometimes it's the Multi-Death Corporation, sometimes it's Millions of Dead Christians, sometimes it's the Marijuana Delivery Company. We could do lighthearted ones, and I knew I wanted to make music, and I wanted to have a big musical project, and I finished school. And I went off with my acoustic guitar to Austin, Texas. I wanted to be a songwriter. I wanted to find Willie Nelson and play my songs. And I didn't find Willie Nelson, but I did find Austin, Texas in 1975 and 76.
Stains.
And I started writing songs. And one of the songs was John Wayne Was a Nazi. And here it is. And I saw John Wayne to be a big person that talked a big talk, but was really, encouraging young men to go die in Vietnam, encouraging young men to die in all these war movies. And he plays all these heroic characters, and he's dying, and he's seeing his friends die in the movies. And it's just a movie, and he's not even really in the army. He's promoting that point of view that we need to go kill yellow people in Asia. We need to do it in Vietnam during his movie, The Green Beret. We need to beat Mexican people up in his movie, The Alamo. And he became kind of synonymous with killing Indians and killing the bad Indians. And the good Indians lived on the reservations and behaved themselves. And the bad Indians wanted to go roaming and break the rules. And it was something to me that needed to be said. And it was our first song that kind of like cut through. I think the Chicken Squawk was too ahead over everyone's head. Everyone was like, wow, you're going to be a vegetarian. Nobody could even relate to it in 1969. I was telling Juka. There was no internet, of course. So I thought, I looked it up in the encyclopedia, and the only vegetarians I could find were Gandhi and Adolf Hitler. And I thought it was just me and Gandhi and Adolf Hitler, So I realized, I wanted to talk about other political things. And I talked about John Wayne and the culture of America and about people making it look good to die in movies, but really how death is death. And growing up during the Vietnam War, seeing my friends' older brothers and cousins and my own cousins going off to war, coming home, battered people, dead people. When I say battered, I mean in PTSD, in shock. And I wanted to communicate about it. And that's what punk rock was to me. I came from the area of punk rock where it was a political lesson that I wanted to share and political feelings. And in the first album, I wrote a song called Corporate Death Burger. It's about not liking McDonald's and all these corporations that are promoting food where they tear down rainforests. And this is the front cover of the album, The Raw Cops. And here, the other side is the half Klan, half cop with a gun pointed at you. Millions of dead cops. And one of the songs on it is, like I said, is Corporate Death Burger. And all my songs pretty much had a political bend to them. And one of them was, we went down, the Ku Klux Klan were marching in Austin, Texas in 1980. So I got to Texas in 75. I started doing open mics, and punk rock was starting to happen. Heard about a band called the Sex Pistols, heard about the Clash, and we started starting our own bands. I heard about the Ramones, heard about the Runaways and the Go-Go's, and bands that were first crop of 77, 78, along with Talking Heads and Devo, and the new music that was coming out, the new wave music and the punk rock music. And I was on the beginning of the punk rock wave. And so there we were writing our songs, and we were trying to figure out how to do it. And, I realized right away it had to be done DIY, along with friends like Ian Mackay and friends like Jello Biafra and Tim Yohannan of Maximum Rock and Roll, these people that supported each other, and we networked with each other, and we'd go to each other's cities.
For example, you had the record label R Radical, and you made this compilation.
I started our own record label, and after a couple years after I did my album, I toured around. We got to Europe in '82. I started collecting bands that I met from around the world and put them on a benefit album that supported anti-nuke movements. We also gave some of the movie to different Greenpeace movement and Sea Shepherd and different animal rights organizations. And to this day, we do record label with a new label called Grimace Records, where we are benefiting soup kitchens in Palestine. And we are doing a series of different anarchist, localized Doctors Without Borders. We do Sea Shepherd. And so we turned punk into a thing where a movement where we were trying to raise money and consciousness while we sing political songs. And I'm just very happy to be alive. I started doing this, I've been 47, 48 years ago, and I'm still alive and still have the energy and the desire to do it. And I'm just really happy. We're performing in Finland. I think it's for the 4th time. We played Puntala, we played Helsinki, we played with Teva Cadet, and
Oulu. You played in Oulu in the north as well.
Or the other festival up there. And I love Finland. I joke around, and I want to see if I can get a part on the Dark Winds TV show. And now there's all this trouble in the United States. And I started to tell how we went to one of the songs on here. In 1980, the Ku Klux Klan, which is a fascist organization, tried to come to our shows. They wanted to talk to me. They wanted to say, we understand your anger. And they wanted me to team up with them. These are white supremacists. And they thought I was ignorant, and we kicked them away and stuff. And then they planned a march in Austin, and we went down there, and we pushed them away and fought them and chased them off the street. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to chase the fascists off the street. And I wrote a chorus hook in that song that I wrote right after that occurred. No war, no KKK, no fascist USA. And it's been used through years, through demonstration. It gained a life of its own. People say that expression, and they don't even know that it's from a punk rock band or that I came up with it. And then
bands like Green Day covering it.
And now it's being used by people, and Green Day used it on a stage, and no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. And it's kind of, you know, like all of a sudden I'll be walking by a TV and I see CNN and I see an African-American grandmother who looks like 84 years old standing up to the Proud Boys saying, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. And I realize how powerful words can be. And that I've had the privilege to be able to do this with my life. And that's why I still do it. I'm 69 years old. I love it. I'm not getting rich doing it. It's successful to a certain degree. It's hard to go away from my loved ones and family. But we got to tell the world, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA, that there are Americans who realize how seriously deranged and wrong and fascistic it is. And so that's our battle cry. And it's just beautiful to be able to be free and to say those expressions and to share them with you and be here with you today.
Should we all say together in the live stream? No Trump, no KKK, no fascist
Trump,
USA.
no KKK, no fascist
USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
Greetings.
And we'll be playing
USA.
that tonight at the club. And
Vastavirta.
this is my third time in Tampere, and I love it. I love it. We're out there by the lake. It's a beautiful town. It's a beautiful country. We're heading into Helsinki tomorrow. And one time I came to Helsinki and we drove around. In 1993, we drove around and made it to St. Petersburg. And then we played 5 Russian shows. And that's a whole other story. And that was 1993. And it was right around the time Yeltsin was on the tank. And we played on Russian MTV. And it was just crazy, crazy. The Night Wolves motorcycle gang were our protection. And it was very interesting and very sad that Putin is destroying that country and he's destroying Ukraine, and that's part of our efforts as well. We did an album, benefit album series called Punk for Ukraine, and we raised $14,000 and gave the money to soup kitchens for people in Ukraine. So we're punk activists. We're political activists. We're human beings. I'm not a communist. I'm not an anarchist. I'm a humanist. I believe in the human family and human feelings. I'm very sensitive towards animals and animal rights. And I just wish this whole world would get together and we'd have a United Nations of love and we could all figure out enough plant-based food for everybody. Everyone could get medical care. Everyone get the housing they deserve. And we could have a real human family. So that's the humanist dream that we're about in the punk rock movement. And we're a tiny part of it, but we belong to you and we love you. We love everyone here. I want to hug it out with everybody.
That sounds like a good clapping hands.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Dave, let's talk a little about touring, shall we?
Sure.
So, after all these years, you are still doing it DIY style, aren't you? You are going on the back of the van, someone is driving, you play the small gigs, the squats, the activist places, and you sleep where you can sleep, or have you changed it during the years? I mean that, how do you cope? I know that you are not a spring chicken anymore, so to speak. So I'm asking that
Still
because
young and pretty, you know.
I'm asking that because I have done it also like few years, and I know that sometimes it's a bit of a rough job to do. Or is it?
Just to share with you, really, I don't know how it is, but I'm just a happy person, a happy camper, as we say. And it's an adventure to me to take a boat from Stockholm and arrive in Turku and look at the islets and come here. So it's not like I don't feel burdened by it, you know. And even when I'm in the van, I have my time. I can read. I can sit in my spot and do yoga. I can meditate. I can just talk to everyone about what they're thinking about. I can write a song. And now with electrical gadgets, I can watch a movie. You know, I can just do my own thing. So I'm just happy wherever I am. I don't look at like, oh, what a burden it was. And we are doing 29 shows in 29 days. And some people go, oh, my God.
Oh my God.
I mean, people feed us this great vegan food. We're going to stay in a nice warm room. I have nice people like Juko who I've seen at different shows and festivals in England when we were both checking out other bands. And
How many hours per night you sleep on tour?
we sleep 8. I try to get 8 hours every night. You know, some nights, last night I got 7, but because we had to get up early the night before, and then when we had to catch a boat to make it. So sometimes you're inconvenienced, but it's really a pleasure in this life. I am so honored to give my energy and love to the human family. And I'm part of the Finnish human family. I'm part of the Swedish human family. I'm part of the punk rock human family. And it's really an honor to do it. I don't wish I was at home twiddling my thumbs or doing crossword puzzles or... I mean, I understand if people want to stay at home and do that, and I could build birdhouses and do things like that. I'm just honored that I have this place in life where I get to hold a microphone in front of 40 people and talk about my life, my songs, what I've been about. So it's not like, oh, poor Dave, you know. It's like quite the opposite. I'm just this lucky, fortunate human being that created this part of this energy and web of people that are trying to push the family, human family ball of progress forward. And when we started in 1980, in 1977, 78, there was a lot more homophobia. Nobody believed in gay marriage. People were homophobic all over the place. People just said fag and blah, 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 all the time. Now people have grown in the last 40 or 50 years because people like us got out there and say, hey, that's a silly, wrong thing to say. I just got to share that with you. You're just using all this homophobia. You know, think about it, because, you know, we're just human beings, and you're hurting people's feelings. You're not being empathetic, and if that was you, you wouldn't want that to happen. And all of a sudden, a lot of people think and go, that's true. And the human family is moving forward. I come from a country where we had slavery 140 years ago, 150 years ago. And then there was segregation 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And now there's not. Now there's been an African-American president named Barack Obama. And things are moving change, and things slide backwards when you have someone like Donald Trump make America great again. Great again like when we had slavery, or great again when we had apartheid or separation, segregation. So we're moving the ball forward, and you're doing a good job, and we're doing the best we can. And I salute you. I salute you too. You know, that we're doing what we need to do, and I sure hope it's in time to save all the orangutans and the elephants and the human family. But we're doing it, and Finland is a really beautiful place, and you people are doing it. You're leading the world by example. You know, Finland and Norway and Sweden and Denmark and Iceland. I'm really fond of you folks, you know, and what you're doing here. The fact that you have female prime ministers and everything, how progressive it's gotten. So here we are. We're all working. We're all in this together, and we're all trying to make the earth a better place, a more progressive place for people to grow, so nobody has to have their feelings hurt because who I love, what God I worship, all the rest. Everyone's beautiful.
Have you had a lot of trouble during the decades of being so political, from the rednecks, homophobic, fascists, maybe custom officers, cops, it's pretty provocative stuff that you're doing, especially for some of that kind of people. Like, can you tell me something? Probably something shit has happened during the year.
Yeah, we had a big famous incident. An African American band named the Bad Brains also had this whole roster filling and sadly a lot of homophobia. And we kind of talked about it and worked it out. It was a big hubbub. People took sides, but then everyone kind of realized, let's grow and let's get on behind it. And the punk family got stronger, and we moved past a lot of the homophobia. There's still a little homophobia in the punk rock scene, but much less than there was 40 years ago. And those people that were blah, 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 fag this, blah, 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 queer that in a negative way, have shut up and changed the tune and just laugh. And there's still some people in America doing it, but it's much less. There is a war against trans people. People are freaked out about new stuff. People changing their sex is new, and they just can't cope with change, and it's unfortunate. But I look at it, it's like slavery and gay marriage, and in 30, 40 years from now, people are going to be over it. People got to be who they really are. That's just the long and short of it. Somebody wants to change sexes, they need to do it, and it's none of your business. People are going to finally get it. Just like they didn't want you to mix marriage. They didn't want a black person to marry a white person. No. And they got over it. And they're going to get over this too. And we just got to be strong and be there and be clear and be also sometimes strong and firm, but also empathetic to them, because they're going through change and they're having a hard time facing that change.
Okay, hey, we forgot to introduce Arja. She's working in the library.
Hello, my name is Arja Rantanen, and I'm a librarian here on the main library of the Tampere. Siis Rantasen Arja täältä pääkirjastosta, kirjastovirkailija. Ja
as well the vocalist tonight in Juggling Jugulars.
Kyllä, tämäkin pitää paikkansa.
It's a beautiful place here.
So she wanna ask you some library questions.
Let's talk about library, shall we?
Okay.
Because we are here on the music department in our city library. I'll have to ask you something about using. Do you use or have you used library in your life?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was a punk rock daddy. I made a child, and I didn't have a lot of money. I was going on these tours. It wasn't a lot of money. And I raised my son in the library.
Yeah, great.
Like it was the place you could go and have the best computers and read books and play chess. And the librarians were our good friends, and this was in Portland, Oregon, where I was raising my son. And we went to the library 3-4 times a week for years. And I love the library. It's just it's a friendly, great place to be. And librarians, people rock,
Yes, we do.
Punk rockers are cool, but librarians, they're really cool. And I liked reading. I was very inspired by reading by Kurt Vonnegut and Philip K. Dick and science fiction stuff that put me in that imagining a different world, imagining different ideas. So I didn't get stuck on my own thing. And I like Dave Sardaris. I think he's very funny. Dress Your Family in Corduroy, and I like James Michener. What do you got there? Ray Bradbury. Science fiction, really cool. Oh, Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
A lot of American movies ended up with Philip K. Dick, and the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What is that one?
Unfortunately, they are in Finnish because the English ones were on loan or we didn't have them. So, but here's a collection of recommendations that Dave gave us. All these materials here is by him. So if you want to loan them afterwards, be my guest. Or if you don't, we put on exhibition tomorrow on the shelf.
Also
So
movies.
Movies, yes. Like.
Yes, and I've seen the whole Borgen, both series, where she's the prime minister and in Copenhagen, and then the one where she becomes the ambassador to Greenland, if you know that storyline.
And one of my favorites too, the whole Godfather trilogy. I guess it came out in '72, so I was about 16 or something like that. And the themes I just found Francis Ford Coppola and all those Marlon Brando. It just came together. Classic family story about the mafia, which is quite interesting, actually. And yes. You got the whole series of Godfathers there, and I hear there might be a Godfather 4 coming. I hope no.
Yeah,
it can't be that good that three
sometimes
first
they
ones.
spoil things.
Yeah.
But
by the way, was it your son or your kid who was on a tour in 1993 when you were playing here in Tampere at the Tulliklubi on the stage with you having a rubber chicken with him?
yes, this was actually the drummer's son.
Aha, okay. Because that was the first time I saw you
Al's
live.
son, Brian. And his mother was having some problems and said, you take him on tour. And we were doing a 4-month tour to Europe. We toured around Europe for 3 months. And then we ended up in Helsinki and took a van and drove around to St. Petersburg. We played Moscow MTV. We played Minsk, Belarus, and we played Kaliningrad. And he was on stage with me all the time, and we used to do the Chicken Squawk song together, the buck, 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 bucks. And he became quite a character in the punk rock scene that we had a 6-year-old child with us on tour. And he's grown up. He's 30-something years old. Yes. And he does good. He has a food cart, and he does vegan food out of his food cart in Washington State. But you're in rock and roll. You got to take your kid to work, and we took our kid to work to Europe for 4 months. And one day he disappeared on us, and we're like, "Where'd he go?" And we're looking all around. Next thing we see him, he's on the motorcycle gang that's protecting us, the Night Wolves. He's riding on the back of the big Cossack-looking biker, and he had a jean jacket, and he cut off the sleeve, and they put colors on the back of it, and we're just like, oh my God, can we get him back? You didn't join. What do we got to do? But he was a character. He's a great kid, and life is just the way you live it. You gotta, improvise what is right for you in this life, and for us, taking our child with us on tour was a good move. Some people said, how could you do that? He had a great time. He figured something out. We're playing foosball, and we spent too much money on foosball. He came up with the idea of he put a bunch of tissue into the goal. So when you shot the foosball into the goal, it didn't go down into the machine. You just take it out. Yeah. So.
And you have your own book as well as Al. Your own book.
My book. I wrote a book too.
Yeah.
And just you caught me about it, and it's just about me growing up. There's a lot of what I'm talking to you about, just the things that affected me, the civil rights, my mom. How did I end up in punk? And I talk about the different things that happened to me growing up. That's the first half of the book, and then I tell a bunch of funny stories on tour that just happened. How I got attacked by skinheads, and I was babysitting my lover at the time, who was the mother of my baby, went to a social agency, and she came back with a big Great Dane dog, and his name was Alex, and he drooled. He was one of these gigantic Great Danes, if you know what I'm saying. And Oh, and then we had him for a month. The person who owned the dog was going into a rehab for drug addiction. So we had the dog for a month. And every day I had to walk him. And we were in a small apartment in San Francisco. And this dog drooled over everything. And he'd look out the window and want to attack anything that was out there. Squirrels, cats, other dogs. And he'd bark so loud. Big Great Dane head. And I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. And I got to take care of this dog. And I was winding down. I kind of got used to it after a few weeks. And my partner said, why don't you take Alex up to Haight-Ashbury District in San Francisco? There was a live event and a stage and, go have some fun, just get out of the house. And I took Alex with me on a leash. And I'm there at the events, and I'm there with no one around. And all of a sudden, these two skinheads who were really vicious white supremacist skinheads kind of like saw me like, oh, and they had these blackjack, like these little metal bar things that they were coming towards me. And I'm, 10 meters away, and they're coming towards me and going, oh, my God, what do I do? Oh, my, I'm holding the dog. I don't know. And they started to come, and I didn't think about it. But Alex, the big Great Dane, jumped up and bit him in the face. And then rapid fire bit the other skinhead in the face, and they went running away crying. Cop came over and said, you okay? I go, I'm fine. And he goes, you got a good dog. And I took that dog out for some meat. I bought him a steak. Being a vegetarian, I still bought him a steak.
So the rest of the story, can we read it from the book?
It's a story in the book called The Best Dog I Never Wanted.
So time is running. Sorry. We would like to have some questions for the audience, right?
Sure.
Is there anybody
have a question?
Questions?
But anyway, the name of that story is The Best Dog I Never Wanted. Because in the beginning of the story, I say how I'm really a cat person. Don't really, dogs are kind of needy, and I'm always on tour. I don't want a dog. I don't want to leave the dog behind. Cat, they can kind of be more independent. But after that, I realized I was a dog person as well. And MDC also stands for Millions of Dogs and Cats.
Yes.
And anyway, questions.
Any questions?
Nyt on 1000 taalan paikka kysyä Daviltä jotain. Meillä on tässä aikaa muutama hetki ja sitten ei pitkitetä yhtään, että pääsee Dave esiintyyn, soittaa muutaman biisin meille, mutta jos siellä olisi... Joo, hetki. Sulla on siellä mikki, joo.
You, there in the red hat.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
My question is about Million Dead Cops as a name. When was your aha moment that, yes, this is the name of my band?
Very good. We were called the Stains before, we started in 79. And before that I was in a band called the Rejects. And we were the Stains. And we got put out a single, and we went to California, and Jello Biafra and the Dead Kennedys said, oh, you guys ought to come with us to Europe. And we went them to Europe. But we realized we went to California, there was another band called The Stains. So we started thinking, what's the name of our band? We played a show in L.A. with Black Flag at the Cuckoo's Nest. And the cops were beating everybody up. And one of our friends started saying, these cops, they're murderous, they're dead cops. And a friend of ours named Buff Paris said, why don't you be millions of dead cops? And he was the bass player of a band called the Dicks. So that's how it happened. But then when we went on tour with Millions Dead Cops, I didn't think about how much trouble we were going to have at the borders with working papers. And then we met Crass, and I was like, they were my heroes. I don't know if you know the band Crass. I think you do. But Penny and Eve. Steve Ignorant brought us home with Phil Free and two of the members of Crass. And they were like, oh, these nice young guys, blah, blah, blah. And Eve and Penny were like, I don't know about the name of your band, because they were very pacifist. And we got together with them, and I said, well, all right, why don't we just change it to MDC and just have like an acronym, we call it in English, We're Millions Dead Cops. We're Millions of Damn Christians. We're the Multi-Death Corporation. We're Millions of Dogs and Cats.
And then they released your first 7-inch.
And they put that out on Crass Records. The famous circle logo came out.
This one, yeah, that one, yeah.
This is also kind of a funny coincidence, because like 2 years ago, I interviewed here Steve Ignorant, the lead singer of the band Grass. So this is like a whole circle is now done. You're telling the story of the name of a M.D.C. has
And we're playing with
by
Steve
them.
Ignorant in the UK this summer. And if you want to come, it's called the Rebellion Fest. It's the second weekend of August. And it's a really great festival, 15,000 people. It's in Blackpool, which is on the west side. It's north of Liverpool, about 60, 70 miles. And it's just a fantastic time. There's 300 bands, something for everybody. You can bring the kids. It's really great. And that's where I'll be August 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, I believe.
I have one question about the name. So this record, Hey Cop, if I had a face like yours with a lovely cover, why this is Millions of Dead Cops 2?
Well, Bill Collins, who's with us in the band now, he wanted to go back full circle because we started doing Millions of Dead Children, Multi-Death Corporation, doing different MDCs. And Bill joined the band and said, why don't we take it back to Millions Dead Cops? You know, the whole emphasis was talking about how the police, and it was a real thing, the police would bother the musicians and the punks in the streets. So if you're just hanging out with your friends outside of a bar, the police would beat you up. So right away, you weren't worrying about, Coca-Cola or torture equipment or who makes bombs and who makes jet airplanes. You think, who the heck is beating me up? And it's the cops. He said, why don't we return to that? So we returned to that. And that album cover, that was my roommate's dog, Henry. And I put the police hat on him. And if I had a face like yours, I'd shave my butt and walk backwards. Was the sense of humor we had with it there. And when my house got ready, we played for the Pope when he came to San Francisco in 1987. Our official album was Millions of Damn Christians. The Pope came with his Pope-mobile, Pope John Paul I, and he went by. And as he went by, we took a tarp off the roof of our house. We had all our equipment, and we played the Multi-Death Corporation and This Blood's for You. And the police came and grabbed us, and they came into my, they had me on the ground. They said, don't move. And one cop said, you want to learn how to fly? Because we were 4 stories up. I go, no, sir, I don't want to learn how to fly. And he took me down, and then they handed me to the Secret Service, who questioned me. And I told them I was just, punk rocker, peace punk, and we're playing a little music for the Pope. And he said, you're a wise guy, you should wise up. And then he gave me back to the San Francisco police, and they looked at me and said, we don't want you, blah, blah, blah. And the police were in my apartment, and I had a box of albums. They all wanted their album signed and give them an album. So I signed my album and gave it to each of the cops. And it's kind of funny because I lived in San Francisco, and, I had a funny mohawk at the time. I didn't have long hair. And all of a sudden, someone would say, there's a cop, he's honking. And the guy's going, Dave. And it was one of the cops who had been in my apartment. And they had become friendly with me because they were in my apartment. San Francisco is that kind of a town. Dirty Harry cops. There's a certain part of Americana that's kind of weird. But, the cops were outsiders. And they could be violent and homophobic and all that. But they started to like the punks in a certain way. And it was really weird. And they liked me especially. So
Sorry, time is running. If we want to hear a few songs today, we have to change the topic. But could you please shortly tell something about the lineup for today's show?
Well, the lineup on today's show, as it turns out, my bass player from this lineup from 1992, 93, 94, she had come to Helsinki with me and was in the van that drove to St. Petersburg, and then we took the trains around. And she is on this album, and she's with us, and she's been with me the last 3 years on tour. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I recycle band members. They go away for a few years, and it's a one big family of about 12 people, and people come back. I happen to be the one person that's always in the band, but I've had different guitar players, basses, and Bill is on the album that you had there, the Hey Cop album. I Find a Face Like Yours, and he'll be with us tonight. We'll be playing songs from both those two albums along with our original album. This is Thanks for Giving Me What I Didn't Want. Eric is also on this. You can't see it here, but it's a picture of us in front of the Kremlin. It was really great. But Thanks for Giving Me What I Didn't Want, like Thanksgiving, where they killed all the Indians and stole their land.
Yeah, so let's go to the live.
Oh, we're going to play a song?
So,
introduce your guitar player.
yes,
Okay.
and we will give you a seat.
You want to sit down? What's the best? You can. Oh, it's got a strap. Hi, everybody. So glad you're here. I am so glad you're here. So beautiful to be here. Like I said, that ferry ride where you see all the islets coming from Stockholm is really beautiful. There must be thousands and thousands of little tiny islets. And I love all the imagery of Vikings. I love the Vikings History channel. We talk about Ragnar and Rollo. You know what I'm talking about? Ragnar and that. And then the new Vikings Valhalla with Leif Erikson. I just love that stuff. I just imagine when I'm on the boat that I'm with those guys. And I'm the Italian Jewish guy that joined the Vikings and get to go around with King Harold and all those great people. All right, here we go. So you want Chicken Squawk or you want John Wayne? Chicken Squawk. Chicken Squawk, all right. And every time I come into the store and I'm seeing them chickens by the door, but eating them dead birds really just ain't for me. Buck, 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 buck. Buck, 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 buck. Buck, 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 buck. Buck, 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 buck. Well, and every time I come into the store and I'm seeing them chickens by the door, eating them dead birds really just ain't for me. I don't eat roast beef or fish. Porky pig is not my dish. I want to set all my chickens free. In chicken circles, it's Ada Purdue, and he wants to be fed with chicken to you. I don't think go to some Colonel Sanders, do you? I don't want to eat the hands, not even every now and then. I just want to set all my chickens free. Buck, 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 buck. Swing to the east, to the west, chicken that you love best. Calm down and chicken squawk with me. And I'm wishing Daffy lots of luck, cause Elmer Fudd's out hunting duck. They're dreaming about a little fricassee. Bugs Bunny's a friend of mine, eating them feel like Frankenstein. Eating flesh, pretty foul to me. So be it Thanksgiving on Christmas Eve, I'll give my turkeys a reprieve. Ain't no bird got to die for me. Foghorn Leghorn wrote to me, said, you folks okay with me, cause he learns how to set your chickens free. Buck, 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 buck. Swing to the east, to the west, chicken that you can love best. Come on down to Chicken Squawk with me. Buck, 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 buck. Buck, 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 buck. Lordy Jesus was the end. They got us eating our constant friends. Set your chickens free. Thank you. Buck, 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 buck. And I clap for you. Cool, cool, cool. John Wayne was a Nazi. What do you think? What do you know? This is the one that got us here. John Wayne, the movie star, the John Birchers, encouraging boys to die for their country, racist Indian killer. Well, John Wayne was a Nazi, and he liked to play SS. He had a picture, ate up the boy, tucked right in his cowboy vest. Well, he would string up your mama, and sure he would touch with your pop. Sure he would march you up to the wall. Sure he would hang you all by your balls. He was a Nazi. Not anymore, he was a Nazi. Life even the score, he was a Nazi. Not anymore, he was a Nazi. And John Wayne slaughtered our Indian brothers. He burned their villages and raped their mothers. And now he has given them a weapon, Lord. Live by this. Die by my sword, he was a Nazi. Not anymore, he was a Nazi. Life even the score, he was a Nazi. Oh, John Wayne, John Wayne. And John Wayne wore an army uniform. He didn't like us Reds, in fact, it didn't conform. A great white hero had so much nerve. He lived much longer than he ever deserved. He was a Nazi. Not anymore, he was a Nazi. Life even the score, he was a Nazi. Oh, John Wayne, John Wayne. John Wayne killed a lot of Asians in World War II. And we don't give a heck about John Wayne anymore. Cause we know his tale of blood and gore. Just another pawn for the capitalist horde. He was a Nazi. Not anymore, he was a Nazi. Life even the score, he was a Nazi. Not anymore, he was a Nazi. Late show, Mexican or Indian dies. Klan propaganda is legitimized. Hypocrite, coward, never fought or a fight. When I see John, I'm ashamed to be white. Deathbed Christian to this year vowed. If God's alive, you'll roast him now. Well, John, we ain't got no regrets. As long as you die, so long and painful death, you were a Nazi. Not anymore, you were a Nazi. If even the score, you were a Nazi. Not anymore, you were a Nazi 5 times, but now you're dead, 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 dead. Drag it out for dramatic purposes, dead. He's 5 times dead, 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 dead. And that's the song that it was on the radio and did pretty good, and I got it. What did Dick say the place? Nope. Okay. Anyway, oh yeah, sure. Let's do Dick say. This is a song by my good friend Gary Floyd. He was someone I was back in the '70s with, hanging out, and he was in a band called the Dicks, and he was in the Dicks, and I was in the Stains. So the Dicks and the Stains, and he just died last year, and I loved him. He was a couple of years older than me. He was like a big brother. Taught me a lot about being free. And he was a big, heavy-set, out gay man that just, just respected so much because he was from Palestine, Texas, and they really tried to crush him, and he would not be crushed. He was a real person. So here we go. It's called Dicks Hate the Police. It's his band called the Dicks, right? Mommy, 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 look at your son. You might have loved me, but now I've got a gun. You better stay out of my way. I think I've had a bad day. I've had a bad day. Had a bad day. Had a bad day. Daddy, 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 look at your son. You've got a good job. kills black people and Mexicans. I'll tell you one thing, and it's true. You can't find justice, it'll find you. It'll find you. It'll find you. It'll find you. People tell policemen they've met their match. Dicks planted on desert ground, those dicks were hatched. I'll tell you one thing and it's true. You can't find justice, it'll find you. It'll find you. It'll find you. It'll find you. Mommy! Mommy! Look at your son! You might have loved me, but now I've got a gun. You better stay out of my way. I think I've had a bad day. I've had a bad day. I've had a bad day. Had a bad day. Mommy, I've had a bad day.
Hey, kiitos.
Thank you very much. That's it. You guys are beautiful. And we're playing, where are we playing tonight?
At Vastavirta.
Vastavirta. The show starts now 7:30.
Yes.
Juggling Jugulars starts.
So thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. Thank you for your guitar player. Thank you, Jukkeli Nakari, who came here
you,
to help
Arja.
assist me. And thank you all the audience here at library and at home. And please remember tonight at Vastavirta you can see M.D.C. live.
Yeah.
Records and books. I should have brought records and books.
Yes.
So I could have shared. But it's just such an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be alive in this period of time. It's such an honor. You know, it's our special time. And I don't want to be anywhere else but here, changing the world with you, encouraging and loving each other, supporting each other to be the best people possible, best humans possible, artists, poets, whatever else your special purpose. Thank you very much. You're all very, very beautiful, and I'm here if you want to come up and say hi. I'm not running off anywhere. I'll see you if you can make it to the show. We do have T-shirts, we have books, we have records and things like that if you have extra money. I got little stickers for very cheap, and blah, 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 if that's all you can have. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All. Thank the library system.
Se on moro täältä Metso-livestä.
Kiitos.